It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when Lily first noticed him. The old man, his hands trembling slightly as he reached for a can of soup on the top shelf, seemed like he was struggling just to complete a simple task. He was frail, his hair white as snow, and his clothes were old but well maintained. Lily had worked at the supermarket for just over a year, and in that time she had seen hundreds of customers come and go, most of them focused solely on their shopping. But there was something about this man, something in the way his shoulders sagged as though the weight of years was too much for him to bear, that caught her attention. Without thinking, Lily walked over to him, her feet making a soft pattering sound on the wet floor as she approached. "Can I help you with that, sir?" she asked, offering a smile as she stepped up beside him. The man looked at her, his blue eyes watery and tired, but he returned her smile, albeit weakly. "I'm afraid I can't quite reach it," he said, his voice faint but kind. Lily could see the discomfort on his face, the frustration. He wasn't asking for help, but he needed it nonetheless. She stepped closer, gently taking the can from the top shelf and handing it to him. "Here you go, sir," she said, her voice warm. "Thank you," the man said, his voice trembling slightly as he accepted the can. "It's hard sometimes, you know, reaching the top shelves." He paused as if gathering his thoughts before continuing. "I don't get out much these days." Lily smiled again, nodding sympathetically. "I understand. Sometimes it's easy to forget that the little things can be a challenge." The man's eyes brightened a little, and for the first time since she'd approached him, he seemed more at ease. "I suppose it's a little like that with everything these days," he said with a wistful chuckle. "I used to do everything myself, you know? But now—" He trailed off, his voice trailing into silence. There was something in his expression that made Lily want to stay a little longer. She wasn't sure why, but she felt compelled to talk to him, to help him however she could. "If you ever need anything else, just let me know," she said, offering him a reassuring smile. He looked at her for a moment longer, as though deciding something in his mind, and then nodded. "Thank you. It's nice to see someone take the time. Not many people do anymore." Lily smiled once more and moved back to her register, hoping the old man wouldn't need any more help but also knowing that she'd be there if he did. It was just a small act, helping an elderly man reach a can of soup, but somehow, it felt like it meant more than she could explain. But what happened next would change everything. About an hour after their interaction, Lily was called to the manager's office. She hadn't done anything wrong, so it couldn't have been about customer complaints. Maybe they wanted her to cover a shift, or perhaps there was some kind of issue with her work performance. She walked down the narrow hallway to the office, her shoes tapping lightly against the floor, feeling a small knot of anxiety form in her stomach. She knocked lightly on the door before opening it, stepping inside to see her manager, Mr. Barnes, sitting at his desk with an unreadable expression on his face. Next to him stood a woman she didn't recognize, dressed in a sharp suit and holding a clipboard. "Sit down, Lily," Mr. Barnes said in a tone that seemed to carry an edge she hadn't heard before. "I need to talk to you about something." Lily sat down slowly, her heart starting to race in her chest. She looked from Mr. Barnes to the woman in the suit, who was watching her with a stern gaze. "I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a company policy about interacting with customers," Mr. Barnes said, his voice cool and distant. "You're not supposed to offer personal assistance unless it's strictly related to your duties. Helping customers outside of the typical scope of work can lead to complications for the store and—" "I just helped him reach a can," Lily interrupted, feeling defensive. "It wasn't anything that would—" "Lily, let me finish," Mr. Barnes said, his tone sharp. "The issue isn't just about helping a customer, it's about the fact that you went beyond what was necessary. You spent more time with that man than you should have, and frankly, it's becoming a problem." Lily's mind raced. This didn't make sense. "What are you talking about? He was struggling and I just helped. I didn't do anything wrong." The woman in the suit spoke up, her voice cold. "You don't seem to understand, young lady. The customer you assisted. His name is Mr. Richard Montgomery. He's a very wealthy individual, and we've had complaints about employees getting too friendly with him. As much as we appreciate your intention, this could lead to legal consequences for the store." Lily blinked, her mouth going dry. "Legal consequences?" she echoed, her voice cracking. "Yes," the woman said, tapping her pen against the clipboard. "Mr. Montgomery has well, let's say a history. We don't want to get involved in any situation where personal boundaries are crossed, especially in a public setting like this store." "But I didn't do anything inappropriate," Lily protested, her voice growing more desperate. "I just helped him. That's all." Mr. Barnes gave her a sympathetic look, but it didn't ease the sting. I understand, but unfortunately the store can't afford any complications. As a result of your actions, we're going to have to let you go. Lily's heart dropped into her stomach. What? You're firing me over this? It's not personal, Mr. Barnes said, his voice flat. But you've caused a problem for the company. We can't risk alienating potential customers, especially ones with Mr. Montgomery's profile. Lily felt a wave of shock and disbelief wash over her. How had things escalated so quickly? She had helped someone who had needed a hand. Someone who, as it turned out, was far more significant than she could have ever imagined. As she stood up to leave, the woman in the suit handed her a small envelope. Your final paycheck, she said, her voice clipped. Good luck with everything. Lily took the envelope, her mind reeling. She had done nothing wrong. She had helped someone and now her job was gone. All because of a man who, for reasons she still didn't fully understand, was now part of a world she was completely disconnected from. But what she didn't know, what no one could have foreseen, was that the story was far from over. An hour later, as Lily walked home, her mind was numb. She didn't know where to go from here. Her thoughts were so consumed by what had just happened that she barely noticed the sleek black car that pulled up beside her. Lily? A voice called from the car. She looked up, startled, to see the elderly man from the supermarket, Richard Montgomery, sitting in the back of the car, smiling at her warmly. Mr. Montgomery? She asked, her voice wavering. He opened the door and motioned for her to come over. Get in. I think we need to have a talk. Lily hesitated, still unsure of what was happening. But something in his eyes, the warmth, the kindness, told her that she had been right to help him. Maybe this was the moment where everything changed. Little did she know, the unexpected reward of kindness was only beginning to unfold. Lily hesitated for a brief moment before stepping into the back seat of the sleek black car. The door clicked shut behind her with a quiet finality, and as she settled in, she couldn't help but notice the contrast between the car's polished interior and the dull reality she had just left behind. The final words from her manager still echoed in her ears. Fired? For helping someone. The disbelief hadn't worn off yet. As she glanced across at Richard Montgomery, the elderly man who had unknowingly set this series of events into motion, her heart raced with confusion. What did he want? Why was he here now, offering her a ride after she had been unceremoniously dismissed from her job? Mr. Montgomery? She asked cautiously, still unsure of how to address him in this unexpected situation. He smiled at her, a warm expression that put her at ease, despite the tumultuous feelings bubbling inside her. Lily, please. Call me Richard. I think we have a lot to discuss. Lily nodded slowly, still processing everything that had happened within the last hour. She had never expected to be thrust into a situation like this. Helping an elderly man reach a can of soup, something so simple, had cost her job, and now here she was sitting in a luxury car with him. The whole situation felt surreal. I'm sorry about everything, Richard continued, his voice gentle but firm. I never wanted you to get into trouble. I never intended for any of this to happen. Lily's mind swirled. What do you mean? I just helped you, Richard. I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I don't understand how this turned into, well, this. Richard's eyes softened, a look of empathy crossing his face. What you did for me, it was more than just a small favor. I noticed it. And the truth is, I've been struggling with more than just reaching high shelves lately. You helped me in a way that I didn't even realize I needed. Lily blinked, taken aback by his words. I just gave you some bread. It was nothing, really? Richard shook his head, his gaze unwavering. It was everything. I've been in a dark place for a while now after losing my wife. And in that time, I've forgotten what it's like to have people be kind without expecting anything in return. The act you showed me, your compassion, it's rare. And when I saw how you were treated by the store, I knew I couldn't just let it go. Lily's heart tightened at his words. I don't understand. I didn't do anything special. Why is all of this happening? Richard paused for a moment, his hands clasped together in his lap. Because you didn't just help me with a can of soup. You reminded me of something important, that the world still has kindness in it. You made me want to do something in return, not just because I could, but because you deserved it. I've been in business for years and I've seen how the world works. But I know that you, someone who gives without hesitation, deserve more than just a thank you. Lily stared at him, still processing what he was saying. I didn't help you to get something in return, Richard. You don't need to repay me for anything. Richard smiled again, though there was a glint of resolve in his eyes. I understand. But what you don't understand is that it's not about repayment. It's about showing someone how much their kindness can change the course of a life. You didn't just help me with a can of soup. You helped me rediscover something I had lost: hope. And I want to help you." Lily's mind raced. Was this some kind of misunderstanding? She had only helped him in passing, and yet here she was in a car with him talking about helping her. The confusion weighed heavy on her shoulders. "I don't need anything, Richard. I don't want to be involved in whatever this is," Lily said, her voice shaky. She wasn't used to being on the receiving end of such generosity, and the thought of receiving anything from someone she had just met felt overwhelming. "I just want to forget all of this and move on." Richard's expression softened once more, his voice taking on a more gentle tone. "I understand your hesitation, Lily. I do. But what I want to offer you isn't charity. What I'm offering you is an opportunity, a chance to make a real difference. I want to invest in you, in your future. You've shown a kindness that few possess. I want to help you grow, to do something meaningful with that gift you have. Something you might not even realize you're capable of." Lily stared at him, disbelief settling deeper into her chest. "I don't understand. Why me?" "Because you're the type of person who makes the world better simply by existing in it. You didn't hesitate to help me. You saw someone in need and didn't think twice. People like you are rare, Lily. And I want to give you the opportunity to do more, to build something that matters." Lily was silent for a long moment, her mind spinning with his words. She didn't want to feel indebted to him, didn't want to feel like she had to accept something just because of one good deed. But Richard's words resonated with her on a level she couldn't ignore. She had been struggling for so long, barely scraping by, trying to make ends meet while holding on to a job that barely appreciated her. And here she was, in a car with a man who was offering her something more than just money. He was offering her a chance at something bigger, something that could change her life forever. "Look," she said, her voice still unsure. "I appreciate everything, I really do. But I don't know if I'm the right person for this. I'm just a cashier, Richard. I've never done anything like what you're talking about." Richard looked at her, his gaze steady and unyielding. "That's exactly why you're the right person. You don't have to be someone you're not. You already have everything it takes to make a real difference, you just need the right opportunity. And I can help you find that." Lily looked out of the window, the rain still falling softly against the glass. She could feel the weight of his offer, the sincerity in his voice. She had never been given an opportunity like this, never been recognized for the potential others saw in her. She had always been content with what she had, even if it wasn't much. But now, here was someone who saw something in her that she had never truly seen in herself. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she considered what he was offering. This wasn't just about a job or a favor. This was a chance to step into a new life, one where she could make an impact, one where her actions truly mattered. "I'll think about it," Lily said finally, her voice steadying. "But I need time to figure this out." Richard smiled warmly, a hint of relief crossing his features. "Take all the time you need, Lily. But just know the door is always open for you. Whenever you're ready." As the car drove off, the rain beginning to taper off into a gentle mist, Lily felt like her world had shifted in ways she couldn't fully comprehend. The future suddenly seemed full of possibility, and despite the uncertainty, she couldn't help but feel that she had just stepped into something much bigger than she had ever expected. Lily spent the next few days in a haze. She couldn't shake the weight of the conversation she had had with Richard Montgomery. The offer he had made was unlike anything she could have imagined. Part of her wanted to turn it down, to walk away from the chance to do something more, something beyond the monotony of her old life. But another part of her, the part that had always dreamed of making a real difference, was reluctant to ignore this opportunity. It wasn't just about the job offer. It was about something much bigger, an entirely new life that she wasn't sure she was ready for. For the next several days, Lily couldn't focus. Her mind kept wandering back to Richard's words, to the opportunity he had given her. She had always thought that life was about taking what was given to you, working hard at whatever job you had, and simply surviving. But Richard had shown her that there was another way. He had given her a glimpse of a life where her kindness, her actions, could have real, lasting impact. On the fourth day after their meeting, Lily decided to take the plunge. She called the lawyer's office, her fingers trembling slightly as she dialed the number she had been given. When the line clicked open, she cleared her throat. "Hello, this is Lily Johnson. I'd like to speak with Mr. Montgomery, please." The receptionist on the other end answered in a smooth, professional voice. "Ms. Johnson, I'll make sure Mr. Montgomery is informed that you're ready. Please hold for just a moment." Lily's heart raced in her chest as she waited. It felt like the longest moment of her life. She had thought about this decision from every angle, and while doubt still lingered in the back of her mind, she knew she had to seize this chance. She couldn't stay in her old life, working endless hours for minimum wage, feeling invisible. This was her opportunity to do something that mattered. "Miss Johnson, Mr. Montgomery will be delighted to hear from you. Please hold for just a moment longer." A few seconds passed before Richard's voice came through the phone, calm and reassuring. "Lily, it's good to hear from you." "Hi Richard," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said and I'm ready. I'm ready to take you up on your offer. I want to be part of this." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, and then Richard spoke, his voice filled with warmth and approval. "I'm glad to hear that, Lily. I knew you had it in you. I'm excited for what's to come. We'll get everything set up for you to join the team, and we'll discuss how you can start making a real impact just as we talked about." Lily felt a rush of emotion at his words. She had made the decision, but hearing him say that he believed in her, that he thought she had what it took, filled her with a sense of pride and anticipation. She wasn't just another person working for a paycheck anymore, she was about to be a part of something larger than herself. "Thank you, Richard," Lily said quietly. "Thank you for believing in me." "Lily, I'm the one who should be thanking you," Richard replied. "You've already given me more than I could ever repay. Now it's time for us to do something that truly matters." The following weeks were a blur of meetings, preparations, and new beginnings. Richard's team helped Lily transition into her new role within the foundation. She quickly found herself immersed in the mission, working alongside passionate individuals who shared her desire to make the world a better place. Richard's vision for the foundation, to help underprivileged communities and offer opportunities to those who needed them most, spoke directly to Lily's heart. She had always wanted to help, to make a difference, and now she had the resources, the platform, and the support to do just that. One of the first projects they worked on together was a community center for at-risk youth. The center would provide after-school programs, mentorship opportunities, and a safe space for kids who had nowhere else to go. As she met with the team and began to shape the project, Lily felt a deep sense of purpose. It wasn't just about throwing money at a problem, it was about creating lasting change, empowering individuals, and giving people the tools to change their own lives. As the project began to take shape, Lily found herself growing more confident in her role. She had always doubted her abilities, but with each meeting, each decision she made, she began to see that she had something valuable to contribute. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was actively shaping the future, and that realization filled her with pride. Then one afternoon Richard called her into his office. He had a serious look on his face, but his eyes were kind, and there was a warmth in his tone when he spoke. "Lily, I wanted to talk to you about something important," he began, his voice steady. "I've been watching you, seeing how you've grown into this role, and I'm truly impressed with everything you've done for the foundation. You've become an invaluable member of our team, and I believe you have even more potential than you realize." Lily looked at him, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension in her chest. "What do you mean?" she asked, unsure of where the conversation was headed. Richard smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. "What I mean is that I want to offer you something more. I want to offer you the opportunity to take on an even bigger role within the foundation, one where you can help shape the direction of our work on a much larger scale. You've shown that you have the vision, the drive, and the heart to lead." Lily was taken aback. She had never considered herself a leader. She had always been someone who followed, someone who did what was asked of her. But Richard saw something in her that she hadn't seen in herself. He saw her potential. "I'm not sure if I'm ready for that," she said softly, doubt creeping into her voice. "I don't know if I'm the right person for that kind of responsibility." "You already are, Lily," Richard replied gently. "You've been leading all along. You just didn't realize it. This is your chance to step into a role where you can truly make a difference, not just for the foundation but for the communities we serve." Lily took a deep breath, the weight of his words sinking in. For the first time, she realized that she wasn't just filling a space in the world. She was creating one. And in that moment she made a choice. "I'm in," she said, her voice steady, filled with newfound confidence. Richard smiled, his eyes filled with pride. "I knew you would be." As Lily left his office that day, her mind swirled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness, helping an elderly man reach a can of soup, would lead to this. She had stepped into something far bigger than she could have anticipated. But now, with her future unfolding before her, she knew that she had found her place in the world, where she could help, where she could lead, and where she could make a real impact. As Lily settled into her new role within the foundation, the weight of responsibility began to settle in, but so did the excitement of what she was helping to build. She worked tirelessly alongside Richard and the team, helping to secure partnerships, organize community outreach programs, and develop initiatives that would offer hope to countless families. With each passing day, her confidence grew. What had once seemed like an impossible leap had become her new reality, a reality that was both fulfilling and daunting in equal measure. But it wasn't just about the work. The people she worked with, the lives she touched, were what truly kept her going. Every day brought new challenges, but each success, no matter how small, felt like a victory. They were creating tangible change, shaping a future that could make a real difference in the communities that needed it most. One particular project stood out among the others. The youth mentorship program that Lily had helped to spearhead was growing quickly, and the first group of men's was finally ready to be paired with their mentors. It wasn't just about offering kids a chance at education or a safe space after school, it was about showing them that someone believed in them. Lily had seen firsthand how small acts of kindness had changed her life, and now she was part of a team that was offering that same opportunity to others. It was more than just a job to her, it was a calling. One evening, as Lily was preparing for the final launch of the mentorship program, Richard called her into his office again. She had grown accustomed to these one-on-one conversations, but tonight, there was a different energy in the air. Richard's expression was serious, though his eyes held a certain pride. "Lily," he began, his voice steady but filled with warmth, "I need to talk to you about something important." She stood up, walking over to his desk and sitting across from him. "What is it?" she asked, her heart skipping a beat. She wasn't sure what was coming, but she sensed that this conversation would be different. Richard leaned forward slightly, his hands clasped together. "I've been thinking about your future here and I want to offer you something. I've seen how you've transformed in the time you've been with the foundation, and I think you're ready for a new challenge. A bigger role." Lily's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" She had thought she had already stepped into a leadership role, but the idea of something bigger sent a surge of excitement and doubt through her. "I'm offering you the position of executive director," Richard said, his eyes never leaving hers. "I want you to take the lead on all our initiatives, oversee the future direction of the foundation, and become the face of everything we're trying to accomplish. You've earned it." Lily's heart pounded in her chest as the gravity of his words sank in. Executive director? The very thought of stepping into such a high-level role overwhelmed her. She had never imagined that she would be in charge of something so significant. But as she looked at Richard, who had watched her grow, who had believed in her from the very beginning, she realized that this was the next step. This was her chance to lead, to make an even bigger impact. I don't know what to say," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "This is a huge responsibility, Richard. I never imagined this would be my path." Richard smiled softly, his expression kind. "I know it's a big step, but I also know you're ready for it. You've proven yourself time and time again. Your heart, your dedication to this mission, it's what makes you the right person for the job. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have something that's far more important, the ability to inspire others." Lily felt a lump form in her throat. She had always doubted herself, doubted whether she had what it took to lead, but here was Richard, someone who had been in this world for decades, telling her that she was more than capable. It was hard to believe, but deep down she knew he was right. She had worked hard not just for the foundation but for herself. She had come so far from the girl who had simply helped an elderly man in a supermarket. "Okay," Lily said, her voice steady now. "I'll do it. I'm ready." Richard's smile grew wider. "I knew you would be." The transition to executive director was faster than Lily had anticipated. She spent the following weeks in a whirlwind of meetings, strategy sessions, and organizational restructuring. It was a lot to take on, but with the support of Richard and the foundation's dedicated team, she found her footing quickly. The challenges she faced felt daunting at times, but with each new step, Lily grew more confident in her abilities. She had gone from a cashier to the head of a growing organization, and the transformation was still sinking in. With the mentorship program officially launched and the foundation's other projects gaining momentum, Lily began to see the full scope of what she was a part of. The impact they were making was undeniable. Kids were finding mentors, families were getting support, and communities were beginning to thrive. Each success, each partnership, each person who walked through their doors brought them closer to their goal, to create lasting change. But as much as Lily had grown, there was still something that weighed on her. She often thought back to that first day in the supermarket, when she had helped Richard reach a can of soup. That simple act of kindness had set everything into motion. It had changed not only Richard's life, but hers as well. And though she had come to embrace the responsibilities of her new role, she couldn't help but feel that the most important lesson she had learned was that no act of kindness, no matter how small, was ever wasted. As she sat in her office one evening, the glow of the city lights outside casting a soft light across her desk, Lily thought about how far she had come. She had never imagined that helping someone in need would lead her here, but now that she was in charge of the very foundation that had given her a chance to make a difference, she knew that her journey was far from over. The work would never be easy and the road ahead would be filled with challenges. But for the first time in her life, Lily felt truly alive, purposeful, driven, and ready for whatever came next. As she looked out the window, her thoughts turned to Richard. His belief in her had never wavered, and now, more than ever, she realized that he hadn't just given her a chance. He had shown her that kindness could change everything. And with that understanding, Lily was ready to continue changing the world, one act of kindness at a time.